Continuing on, example 4. So looking at this, offhand, nothing immediately cancels, right? There's an x plus 5, I don't see that anywhere. These x's can cancel because they're not multiplied by everything. But what we're going to do is we're going to factor these guys. So we need things that multiply to this and add to this, multiply to this and add to this. So that's going to become, if I go through this, it's going to be, that's going to be minus 4 and minus 2. So x minus 2, x minus 4 over x plus 5 times x plus 3 over, has to multiply to this and add to 1, that's going to be x plus 3x minus 2. Multiplies to minus 6, adds up to 1. Okay, and then we're going to cancel things. These guys cancel, minus 2 and minus 2. Now, and this is actually in the same one. The plus 3 and plus 3 also both cancel. So we're going to be left with x minus 4 over x plus 5. And now we need the restrictions. Now, the restrictions come from any step. This is probably a better format. So this step is probably the better one to get the restrictions from, because it's going to be this times this times this. None of those could be 0. And the phone of the office is, of course, interrupting my video. Not very thoughtful. X plus 5 cannot be 0. X plus 3 cannot be 0. And x minus 2 cannot be 0. So x cannot be, I need to do this somewhere else. I think next time I'm running out of space. Minus 5, minus 3, and plus 2. That's a bit squished. I apologize for that. So what we have is, we know this simplifies into this, but the restrictions are x cannot be negative 5, negative 3, or positive 2. And again, this entire thing is the answer. Okay, so this is another one where we're probably going to have to do some factoring. Most of these, in order to be interesting, I'm going to make it so that you have to factor something to get anything useful out of it. So, we're going to common factor here, though. So we're going to take out a 5, and that's going to be, leave 2x minus 3 over 7 times, so we'll take out a 4 here, so that's going to leave us with 8 divided by 4 is 2, 12 divided by 4 is 3. These guys cancel. These two simplify. We get the kind of pre-reduce. So 14 over 7 divided both by 7 is the same thing as 2 over 1. And we end up with 5 times 2. So we end up with 5 over 1 times 2 over 4, which is going to be, actually we could reduce this again, because 2 over 4 is the same thing as 1 over 2. 5 times 1 is 1, 1 times 2 is 2. So that's going to be equal to 5 over 2. So 10x minus 15 over 7 times 14 over 8x minus 12 actually reduces to 5 over 2, or 2.5. With some restrictions, though. So the restrictions are going to be that, this one over here, 8x minus 12, cannot be 0. So 8x cannot be 12. Divide both sides by 8. X cannot be 12 over 8, which is the same thing as 3 over 2. So what we have then is it's this reduces to this with the restriction that x is not equal to 3/2. And that's the answer to 5. Okay. So, again, some factoring will be in order here. I'm going to factor an x out of the first bit over there, and that's going to leave us with 5 minus 2x. I'm going to factor this one. It has to multiply to 3, add up to -4. That's going to be x minus 1, x minus 3. And then we have an x minus 1 over here, and a 2x minus 5. Now these are going to cancel, so that's pretty straightforward. So we're going to have x times 5 minus 2x over x minus 3 times 2x minus 5. Now these look really similar, but they're not quite, we can't quite cancel them. So we're going to play a little mathematical trick with them. So what we have is we have our 5 minus 2x. This is kind of off the side, actually. So 5 minus 2x. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out -1. So 5 minus 2x is minus 1 times -5 plus 2x, which is the same as minus 1 times 2x minus 5, which now looks like this, of course. So what does that mean? What that means is I could write this as x times minus 1 times 2x minus 5 over x minus 3 times 2x minus 5. And I could have done the same thing on the bottom. I could have taken a factor out of -1 and made it 5 minus 2x. And I could have canceled it that way as well. But now these two are the same, so they do indeed cancel. So we end up with x times -1 is minus x over x minus 3. And that would be the answer with restrictions. We're gonna put a little star. I'm gonna show you something else we could do with that after. So, but now we're gonna look for restrictions, and we're gonna look back on this step for the restrictions, I think. So we know that x minus 1 can't be 0, so x can't be equal to 1. We know that x minus 3 can't be 0, so x can't be equal to 3. And we know that 2x minus 5 can't be 0, so 2x can't be 5, and x can't be 5 over 2. So putting that together, our restrictions are x cannot be 1, 3, 1, 5 over 2, 3. 1, 5 over 2, and 3. I put a star there because I said there was something pretty I could do with that. It wouldn't be mandatory, but whenever you have a minus, you could always switch the order and get a minus out of it. So x minus 3 is the same thing as minus 1, kind of like the reasoning we had before, 3 minus x. So that'd be like minus x over minus 1 times 3 minus x. And why would I do that? Because then the negatives would cancel, and we would end up with x over 3 minus x, which is kind of pretty. Of course, if you did it like that, you would still have the same restrictions. But it's kind of neat how this and this are equivalent expressions.